Hello, thank you for tuning in. It's time for Heather and Kim's Culture and Coach Leadership Perspective. Hey, Heather.
Hey, Kim, how are you?
I'm doing great. I am so excited about our new content to share with folks this round. So
Absolutely. It is right on the money. Perfect timing.
perfect timing. So this is the Culture and Coach Leadership Perspective. I'm Kim Richardson, and I'm here with Heather Peterson. And this is an opportunity for you to clip new knowing to your leadership tool belt. So you'll hear from us share our perspectives, Heather with climate and culture, and me with coaching and leadership, as we put it all together and put it in a package that you can put right in your pocket. So I'm really excited because today we are talking about the recent Harvard Business Review posting of 5 mistakes we make when we are overwhelmed. It came out on April 27th by Alice Boyes, and I hope I'm saying her last name correctly. She is a former clinical psychologist turned writer, and she's the author of the Healthy Mind Toolkit. I was really excited to see that. I didn't realize that. So I'm going to give it over to Heather so that she can put this information in the context of her model.
All right. Thank you so much, Kim. Yes, what a timely article. Holy state of overwhelm. I feel like everybody in the space of education may be in this moment, given that we've been in a place for the past 15 months with so much uncertainty and so much coming at us all at one time, from our works that we do in buildings to our personal lives. And I definitely think people are in a state of overwhelm. And
Mm.
just thinking about these 5 mistakes when we think about the environments that we create in our school buildings, and then more importantly, the culture. And I think even in the most positive spaces, overwhelm becomes a reality. And I think it's important that we take the time to unpack some of these mistakes and help people to shed some light on how they can not into the overwhelm, but what they can do as strategies. Because the reality is, we're all going to feel overwhelmed at some point in time.
Oh, yeah, I'm feeling it in certain areas right now. So take us through some of those self-sabotaging mistakes that overwhelmed people tend to make.
So the first one that they talk about is not having the time for actions that would help you, right? I don't have time to sit down and do any self-help. I don't have time to connect with somebody who could maybe support me in this. And so again, that just exacerbates where we are, that we may have endless loops of shoulds. I should be doing this and I should be doing that, or I should be able to manage all of this, Kim. And what that does is that actually wastes time, and it increases the amount of overwhelm that we're feeling.
Mm, they shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Absolutely. We've got to stop shooting all over ourselves, is what has to happen.
Tell us about the next one.
So that next one is not utilizing your unconscious mind enough, Kim. And so when we think about that one, what we know is that when we stay in a space where our mind wanders, that sometimes that we really can find some nuggets of things that are useful to us, right? But again, we feel like everything needs to come to us specific and spoon fed, but sometimes really relying and listening to what our emotions are saying in the background can be helpful.
Mm-hmm. All right. I want to add on to something that you mentioned regarding that first piece that Miss Boyes, or Dr. Boyes, I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. But when we think about that coaching space that leaders may be in to create a space for people to think, learn, and create, you mentioned that we might not have time for those actions. And one thing that I highlighted was that she said, when you have good ideas but don't act on them, it can lead to a sense of powerlessness or incompetence. And what that made me think about was the C in David Rock's SCARF model for certainty, because you can even have your own certainty about your abilities to complete a task or to, to meet a goal. When we think about when people do their New Year's resolutions, and then they give up on them, that can cause uncertainty in the brain, and the brain will begin to feel anxious. So you can work with or talk to someone that will hold you accountable to the things that you say that you'll do. So even if it's not a formal coach, find somebody that can say, hey, how's it going on that? Because even just having that accountability partner will move those ideas into action.
Absolutely. And that goes hand in hand with that whole notion of interpreting feelings of overwhelming as being an weakness. And
Yes.
so, really thinking about that, we become so self critical. And then that forces us to procrastinate. And not only does it cause us to procrastinate, but it triggers over and over those feelings of anxiety and overwhelm, Kim.
Well, when you are being a good listener and you're hearing someone reveal those feelings of anxiety, or if you're hearing them say it, or if they're not saying it, and you want to paraphrase to make sure that you heard and understood, it's okay to call it out and
It's 3 o'clock.
name that emotion, because if they confirm it, great. You now have a common term to move forward in your conversation. And if not, they'll say, no, it may not be anxiety, or it may not be overwhelmedness, it may be something else. So if we can just listen and paraphrase back to help them process and unpack that emotion, because you can't tame it until you name it per 6 seconds.
Nice, nice. And I know you wanted to lift up the important piece about our values too, Kim.
Yes, Dr. Boyce, we're going to call her doctor until we find out otherwise. She said in number 4 of these self-sabotaging behaviors that you default to your dominant approaches and defenses. And she said, when you're overwhelmed, make sure you're matching your values to the demands of the situation. And what that made me think about was Dilt's levels of thinking, which is like a pyramid that starts at the bottom with environment, and then you have behavior and capabilities. So usually when we are working to make change or we're processing our thinking, we start at our environment, we move on to how we're behaving. What am I able to do? What do I know? But next in the middle is values. And those beliefs and values are those drivers that support the capabilities and behaviors. And that might be my why a particular path is taken. And it helps really get to those deeper levels of people's actions. And on top of values is identity and purpose. So if we don't get really clear on what it is that I believe, which is why I make the decisions that I make, it's why I make the choices that I make, we won't be as clear about who we are and perceive ourselves to be. And we also won't be as clear about what I'm here to do, my purpose. So thank you to
It is doctor.
it is Dr. Boyce and Harvard Business Review, because this was a powerful opportunity to think about what we tend to slip into when we are feeling overwhelmed.
Yeah. And Kim, what I would say is my call to action really goes with that number 5 about withdrawing from our supports during times of overwhelm. If we think about our Castle 5 competencies when it comes to social emotional learning, that self awareness and self management piece. And so when we're in a state of overwhelm, unfortunately, we tend to not go to those to seek support and help. So what happens is our emotional cup becomes empty, if you will, Kim. So my call to action is when we start to begin to feel that sense of overwhelm, who will we go to again say, this is the space I'm in and help me work through some strategies, which I think would go directly to that coaching component, Kim.
Yes, my call to action is, if you are in a space with someone that is overwhelmed, don't feel so rushed to move them into action. Give them the space, because that space is there for us to think, learn, and create. But sometimes the space is just there to feel as well. Let them have a safe place with you to be able to experience those emotions, whatever intensity they may be. And so, as the listener or the person that's holding the space, don't necessarily rush into that action, and let it be for just a moment. And then you'll have even more trust and respect from that person to be able to move forward together.
That's great. That's great, Kim, and so important. So, what a huge topic. Hope that you guys will take the time to dive in. It was a pleasure to be here with you today and unpack this article. So, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. And if there's anything you want Heather and I to talk about after we've read it, send it our way via Twitter. Thank you.
Bye, guys.